The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
First of all, we had a business
Hold
meeting.
on, guys. Whoa, and whoa. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Monday, October 14th, and today is National Online Bank Day, you guys.
Yeah, shout out to Cash App stealing people's money. How about that?
It's also,
Shout out to having an online banking day when the banks are closed.
it's also Native American Day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out
Indigenous Peoples Day.
shout out to Christopher Columbus, the original.
Hold on. I'm getting there. It's also National Real Sugar Day. Real sugar, not the fake shit, you know.
Define real sugar.
Real sugar, raw sugar.
Is it open
Pure
mouth?
cane,
Closed mouth?
pure cane sugar, C&H, bro.
No
You said
tongue.
pure cocaine first thing on a Monday? God damn, Jason.
It's also Columbus Day, you guys. Shout out to Christopher Columbus finding us all over here.
He ain't fine shit, man. Yeah, go ahead and shout out his the original genocide, man.
It's
Oh,
also
boy.
it's also
The OG.
oh god. It's also National Kick Butt Day, you guys.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Take push.
And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above or down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are going to kick this off with, that's right, with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte. Look at that.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
And you know what? Despite the ratcheting rhetoric coming from both presidential candidates in favor of cannabis descheduling, decriminalizing, rescheduling, or all-out legalization, depending on what day of the week that it is. You know what, Jason? Now I think it's no secret that both parties and their best of the best candidates that they decided to put forward, the best that America has to offer. Both sides, they have a long track record of lies, and we all know that. So maybe it's time we all took a page out of the playbook of the U.S. Justice Department, or the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, because according to Benzinga's Rolando Garcia, the DOJ's tuned it all out, and they ain't hearing none of that shit. And actually, they urged a federal appeals court to maintain the nationwide ban on cannabis, defending Congress's broad authority to regulate the substance despite its legalization in many states. Per the article in a brief filed quietly last argued that the Controlled Substances Act should be upheld, citing Supreme Court precedent that grants Congress the power to regulate marijuana under the Commerce Clause, as reported by Green Market Report on Friday morning. The case, spearheaded by Massachusetts-based retailer Canna Provisions Incorporated and supported by companies like Verano Holdings, aims to overturn the federal marijuana ban. Garcia says that the plaintiffs are aiming to revive a lawsuit that was dismissed in July. U.S. District Judge Mark Mastriani ruled that the lower courts must follow the Supreme Court's 2005 decision in Gonzalez versus Raich, which upheld federal prohibition unless the court itself overturned the ruling.
See?
And the plaintiffs, represented by powerhouse attorney David Bowie's, argue that federal prohibition is no longer justified due to widespread state-level legalization and evolving federal enforcement policies. Bowie's is an expert in constitutional law and is renowned for his role in groundbreaking legal battles like legal same-sex marriage and the antitrust case against Microsoft. And his argument hinges upon the fact that the shifts in cannabis regulation and the nation's history of cannabis use necessitate a re-examination of the federal ban. If Bowie's and company end up winning, Garcia says that the ruling would immediately impact the status of cannabis at a federal level, therefore coinciding with Biden administration's ongoing review of cannabis rescheduling, another one of the three paths forward for cannabis legalization that he's identified as either federal rescheduling through legislation or judiciary processes. So in summary, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, and to a lesser extent these days, Joe Biden, are indeed the shiny object who are indeed just shilling for whatever last-minute swing votes might be out there from cannabis sympathizers. What we should all really be watching is what's going down in the pending revival of the Cannavision's Inc. versus Merrick B. Garland case, because regardless of which liar ends up on the Oval Throne, appeals picking this case back up stand more of a chance moving the needle forward or backward before Harris or Trump decide a bunch of stoner dreams deserve any of their time and attention. So I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. And y'all know how I feel about this system. They're all liars, they're all crooks, but got to pick one of them. What do you guys think? What do y'all think? I mean, is this appeal going to go through? I mean, if so, they're saying that this is going to move us quicker to legalization than anything that these liars are saying, regardless. So what do you guys think? Is it going to actually be revived, or are they just going to just let it die?
I think they're going to let it die. They're going to let it die, but I do agree. I do agree with that assessment, Rico, that the courts would get this thing done way quicker than any governmental individual or body.
You know why, Jason?
Because courts kick ass and it's kick butt day.
No, because it's a matter of fucking constitutional law. And until some judge in that level of court is willing to say, yes, I acknowledge the equal protection of the Constitution of the United States of fucking America, then we're going to keep having this little dog and pony show, and we're going to keep watching people lie. And I also was today years old when I realized, Rico, you weren't the first Cannavision.
You were today years old.
Yep.
What is that?
Rico read Cannavision, and all I could think of was his Cannavision.
Yeah, mine was spelled different. There's a meaning, and there was a backing behind that. So we can talk about that offline.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Man. What do you think about this, Mathieu St. Germain?
I don't know. I really don't think it's going to be the politicians. I think it's going to be the will of the people.
You think the people are just going to make it legal? All of a sudden, they're just going to. All of a sudden, the people control the power of the pen.
It's like speeding in LA.
Enough states are going to legalize it; they're going to have to ratify it. I don't see the politicians really leading.
That's not how it works, though. That's not how.
Well, you asked him what he fucking thought. Let's let him.
I understand that.
Out.
I understand that. I understand. I know exactly.
I think if enough. I actually think if enough states ratify it and legalize it, then it'll actually put. Legalization.
I remember at the beginning of the whole medical movement, there was a bunch of people that believed that once 25 states went medical, then the federal government would have to legalize it, and we're way past that marker.
I thought it was 40, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
it could be all of them, and you're still gonna have these assholes fighting at the top, trying to rob us of our joy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, Rico. I totally agree with that part. Yarrow, you're pretty quiet today. Did they not take you off the shelf for this?
No, I was just waiting to be asked to participate instead of just jumping in super hyper caffeinated.
You're very low. You're very low.
Your sound sucks.
Your sound is terrible.
Caffeinated a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn up your mic. Yeah, I'm very interested. Yeah, I'm very interested in your take, Yarrow, because you were riding hard for this David Bowie's guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Boyce.
No,
there we go.
I like David Bowie more than I like David Boyce, for sure. One has contributed a lot more rock and songs. But I think the thing we have to remember is that this is not currently in front of the Supreme Court. The chances that it gets in front of the Supreme Court are great, but not necessarily before we have the DEA ruling. And the difference between the Supreme Court in 2005 with what was that article? Raich versus
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. The difference between that Supreme Court and this Supreme Court is massively different in terms of the political and ideological perspectives of the Supreme Court justices. So if this does get to the current Supreme Court, it will be an incredibly interesting litmus test to see how much they care about states' rights in respects to something other than women's reproductive options. And if they do affirm a very heavy sort of preference for states' rights, I could see this getting over the goal line at the Supreme Court. If they don't, I don't think it happens. What I do think is interesting is that I do think the DOJ did this primarily for optics, so that whatever the outcome is with the DEA ruling, they can say, well, we fought the good fight. We were against it. It's the devil's lettuce. It's being laced with fentanyl, yada, yada, yada. So, the DOJ or the Justice Department gets to spend our taxpayers' money on whatever they want, including these types of actions.
Interesting. I think this is gonna play out. I do have a lot of respect for David Boyce. I've had a number of different conversations with him over the years. So, but I think the Supreme Court is ultimately where this thing is going to be headed to, and where we're ultimately are going to get our overall end, so to say, just desserts.
I don't know, man. It's just this whole Biden/Harris versus Trump, them trying to just gain popularity by saying whatever their advisors tell them is what the cannabis voters want to hear. That's just going to pit us against each other, and we're watching the wrong thing. That's my whole point behind this. We're watching the wrong thing, and these shiny objects mean nothing, because once they get into office, just like the past, it's happened a million times before, they do not give a shit about cannabis. So we
are in that phase of the election cycle where say whatever to get elected.
These are all Hail Marys being thrown out there, and if your asses want to jump on the field and try to catch that bitch, go ahead. Good luck.
And candidly, what good is federally legal cannabis if we don't have a FEMA, or we don't have a Department of Education, or we don't have some of these other quality of life issues? And so I don't think there's a single voter out there that is a single issue voter where cannabis is the only reason they're going to vote for a particular candidate. And so I think we need to look at those kitchen table considerations. How's the economy? How are people doing? Are there worker protections? Do we have the opportunity to afford healthcare under whatever system we have? And so I think that, I think they're both pandering, and I think the pandering is disgusting. But it's like watching violence in the Colosseum of Rome. I mean, I'm still going to eat my popcorn and enjoy it to the degree that my sick mind can't.
Oh, I love something.
But you know what, I want to jump in on that one, but I'm going to hold it until after Jason's story.
Fair enough, Rico. On that, we're going to roll into a commercial, and we're going to be right back.
We will go deep.
Oh, man, that was weird. Hey, you, America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California, with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
They're protecting people from the FEMA
Hold on, Matthew. Hold on, Matthew.
Nations.
Back.
And we are back, Rico. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. What's happening, y'all? We are back like we left something. And up next, y'all know who it is. High at 9 News head honcho, the Donald Trump apologist, the hater of all things, Kamala Harris. And here to break us off with a little bit of gaslighting in an expedited fashion, it's none other than Jason Beck. Yes.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, man, you guys. I hope Rico, I'm so glad you're here for this because, you know, there was a big gaslight spill over here. And
it was in the gas lamp district.
In the gas lamp district, yes, that's right. Because
Gaslight district.
That's right. You are so right, Rico. Because Vice President Harris targets black men with a new economic proposals, you guys. Man, oh man, oh man. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris unveiled new policy proposals aimed at black men on Monday that include favorable small business loans and access to a new legal adult use marijuana industry. The Harris campaign and Democrats, including former President Barack Obama, have expressed deep concern about whether black males will turn out on November 5th in numbers seen in past elections, and whether they will support Harris or her Republican rival, Donald Trump. The new state of the policy proposals is part of an effort pushed by the Harris camp to make a direct pitch at black men and make them a more central part of her campaign during the final stretch. Reuters was first to report the plan. The new policies include, get ready for this drum roll, Rico, 1 million loans that are fully forgivable. So basically, they're just like, here, free. It's like free. Up to $20,000 to entrepreneurs in underserved communities. And a promise to legalize adult use marijuana and help ensure black entrepreneurs have access to the new industry. Other proposals include boosting access to cryptocurrency industry for black Americans and launching a national health equity initiative focused on black men that addresses diseases like sickle cell, which disproportionately impacts the community. While the plans cater to the black community, Harris is seeking to emphasize how her economic proposals benefit all men. If elected, Harris would be the second black president and first black woman in office. Some Democrats view the vice president relatively soft support from black men as a significant concern in the election, while others argue the bloc is being scapegoated by broader weaknesses in her campaign. Over a quarter of young black men say they would support Trump in an election race, and a September poll by the NAACP, the nation's largest civil rights organization, showed President Joe Biden got about 80% of the black male vote back in 2020. The policy rollout comes a day before Harris is expected to be interviewed by Charlemagne the God, a comedian and author whose nationally syndicated radio show is popular with black millennials. He is also an influential critic of the Biden administration, and Harris is also likely to touch on a new policy proposals when she travels to Erie County, Pennsylvania on Monday, you guys. Well, man, oh man, it's the last we're in the final stretch of this race, and she is busting out a plan to give underserved communities business loans for $20,000, which I don't think is enough money. But I can't wait to hear what Rico has to say about all of this.
What my favorite black person has to say?
Oh yeah, my favorite black.
Your
guy.
black friend.
Yeah. Well, I
can't wait for you to do your black job, Rico.
I was gonna say the other. I was gonna say the darker black guy on the show.
Oh,
We got a
Thank you
really
for the
big
recognition, Jason.
We got a very large super chat, Jason.
yeah, I'm going to.
That's a racist ass super chat, y'all.
After you ask the black question and then it just talked over by.
Shout out to Joe Mackey, says she's.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is right over your head.
There we go, Rico.
All right, so I'll take the bait. So there's all this rhetoric. I think it just plays right into what I just said in my story. This shiny object bullshit. I think what should really be paid close attention to, if you guys want to take it back, is about a month before last election, what did Ice Cube say? Ice Cube came out and had this Black Platinum plan that he presented to both parties, and Donald Trump was the one to go with it, and he started his momentum on that side, right? If you look at the Black community, we are not a monolith. Me speaking is not speaking for my brothers anywhere else other than in the mirror, period. Right? We all have our own reasons for voting, and Kamala Harris and her team think the time is right before the election to start speaking up and saying, I'm going to do this for the Black community, I'm going to do that for the Black community. Like, it's right on time for every other fucking election, right?
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, okay?
Let me finish, Yarrow, let me finish. I think personally, you know what? Like, if one party has more to say that resonates with my personal beliefs, I'm going to vote for that party. It has nothing to do with the person. I feel like a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for the system, and a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a person that was created by this fucked up system. Both of them you lose, period. So if you're going to vote for one party or the other because of something that's close to you and your soul, vote for that. My only advice to people out there is like, Donald Trump is a finessing scammer who has done this time and time again, and y'all want to fall for that same trick. Fall for the same trick. If y'all want to support Kamala Harris and she's a piece of the system that is upheld by all these liars and finessers and scammers, you vote for Kamala Harris. Remember, she's got Dick Cheney backing her now.
Oh yeah, he's the warmonger. He's the war machine.
You gonna go for the system, or you can go for the fucked up product that was created by the fucked up system. The choice is yours. I think this whole shucking and jiving bullshit right before the election, it's not going to move the needle at all. Donald Trump and his election efforts to engage with Black men and everything, there's no follow up with those efforts. There's been no emails collected. They're not following up with the Black voters. They don't care. Just like they don't care about cannabis, they don't care. They just want to get into office and they want to be in power. There you have it.
I mean, she literally just went to LA City's municipal code and copied the fucking social equity program, took $5,000 off the grant, and was like, "This ought to do it." I mean, backed by Dick Cheney. Maybe they'll go hunting. You know, like I don't know what to tell you.
That would be good if they went hunting
she's already
together.
got shot in the face, but that wasn't by Dick. That was by Willie. Anyway, the point I was going to try
Big
to
Willie. Big Willie.
The thing I was going to say is, like, let's just be real about our language. If I give you money and you don't have to pay it back, that's not a loan.
It's right.
That's a grant. And it's okay
it's an appropriation.
to give grants. And it's okay to provide funding. But it is not okay to masquerade in words that do not apply to the particular structure by which you are trying to fund an agenda that is important to you or to the voters you're trying to court. And so that is called a grant, not a loan, because a loan implies that you need to pay it back. And we can look at market after market after market with the missteps in the allocation of these grant programs, and she is not offering anything specific about how she would do a better job with that. And given that she's an attorney, I know she can go deep. I know she can go granular. I know she can say, here's the existing problems.
See what you did
here's
there.
my proposed solutions. And she's not doing that. And it's not alone.
Well, she can only go deep on one person at a time, Yarrow, and that's going to take a long time to get the number of votes she needs to win this election.
I don't know.
Hey, how many pegs you got to climb up to get to that ledge?
I'm just gonna go out and say it. I don't think $20,000 is enough. I think it's
not enough.
It's a very minimal number.
Let's talk about real businesses. Real businesses these days. She's talking about TikTok jobs, man. You can create a great TikTok drop shipping business with 20 G's. Let's talk about it.
I mean,
you're not talking about
I just want to bang my fucking head against a wall. Like, this pandering is so aggressive. And like, here, $20,000, vote for me.
Exactly.
I'm going to day one. Day one was 3.5 fucking years ago. Why have you done nothing to this point? And now you have all these promises and you need more time.
But I'll take it back even further. This is Democratic. Like I said, with Ice Cube.
With With what?
Because it's not just like one of us. Jenny Beth, you and I have very, very differing opinions on certain things. We have very, very similar opinions on other things. Same things with my white brothers and sisters too. Like this whole bullshit, like putting us against each other, like who's gonna get the black vote? Fuck all that, man. Like, get down to brass tacks. Ice Cube said it last time, and I'm bringing it right back up. The last 30 years, the quote unquote black community has overwhelmingly supported the Democratic Party. Well, what is there to show for it?
Right.
Not much, right?
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing burger.
In 30-year span, how many racist things has Donald Trump said and or did, over the last 30 years?
How many racist things has the Democratic Party done?
So the black male choice is just as fucked up as the rest of y'all's. Congratulations. We are all in the same boat.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. Rico.
Last time they put us all on a boat, it went real, Rico.
I mean, I do.
I
do well on
bringing white
boats.
people along to sit next to me in the boat this time.
You aren't one of the people that were being referred to. This isn't your moment.
I was just out yachting
This isn't your
a couple
moment.
weeks ago.
It's more of a class war than a race war that is going on right now. And people need to take a half-second step back, chill on your feelings, and look at the big picture. Right. And you know what? This whole voting system is rigged. It's not rigged towards one party or the other. It's rigged against American citizens.
Correct.
Thank you, Rico.
So quit being emotional and shit and be rational and just know that both these choices are fucked up. And if you, my brother, my sister, want to vote for Trump or you want to vote for Kamala Harris, awesome. I'm not going to love you or hate you anymore either way because I have a right mind and I can be logic enough to know that my vote is going towards what is going to benefit me the most, and I expect you to do the same.
So
you still voted for Kanye West.
He's voting for Kanye. It's a vote for Kanye. Kanye is writing. That's right.
I'm not going to say anything to get me canceled right now.
If you're going to write in an emotional black person, Rico, just write me in.
Hey, man, I'm no longer emotional. I'm just logical. I'm just looking at this.
I was talking about Kanye.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, you guys.
Who's in his feelers? Matthew, you've been really quiet. I think there's a reason for that.
Donald Trump wants to institute national stop and frisk using the Homeland Security Police. Like, the thing that gets me as somebody who isn't a Democrat or a Republican.
What are you?
Watching people who pick a tribe, then pick one side apart, but then will bend over backwards and go into like really Cirque du Soleil level contortion to excuse their own candidate. What I'd really like to see and would respect to see Jenny and you, Jason, is just acknowledgement that nationwide stop and frisk is fascist. Like
you've already gotten that from me. You've already gotten that from me. No argument.
Growing up, you're interrupting. I remember growing up when my history teacher would say history teacher's name was Mr. Bachaver, Antoine Bachaver. He had a tattoo on his arm being in the Nazi death camps that he showed us. He would sit there and explain to us how in America, it never be asked to show your papers to travel freely in this country. Yet your boy, Don the Con, saying that is what he wants. National stop and frisk in order for mass deportation. I tell you what, I have allegiance with people of every race and ethnicity. I love everybody on this panel. It's our black and brown brothers and sisters who will be the focus of stop and frisk just as they were in New York. And it's just amazing to me that you guys can go on and on about Kamala Harris, who is lightweight corrupt and kind of a fucking dingbat, has never once spoken to National Socialist Nazi-era policies being instituted in America. I would just like to see a little bit of intellectual rigor on your side and some integrity and just calling out these things that are disgusting. Mass deportation is disgusting. National stop and frisk from the Homeland Security Police is disgusting. And as veterans of the drug war, I would just be a lot more impressed if you guys would speak out against this stuff and not just blindly fall into some tribal allegiance or alliance. And I'm with Rico. Right. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. When I vote, I usually have to triage the worst of two evils. But I tell you this. Being an adult is usually picking between the lesser of two evils. If you can constantly, when you are provided with a choice between the lesser of two evils, always choose the lesser of two evils, slowly get less evil. So I think a lot of people just need to grow the fuck up, change your shitty pants, make some adult decisions,
I see what you did there.
Everybody
Yeah,
on this panel and everybody that I like to see, I'm just putting on a shirt and advocating for a tribe. Start advocating for your own ethics, your morality, and your integrity. I, for one, say National Stop and Frisk is a straight up fascist policy, and I can't believe anyone would vote for somebody who is advocating that. Really don't.
Well, I don't think that he's actually going to do it. I hope not, and I agree. When you got it from me last week.
He keeps saying he's going to do it.
I know, but we keep saying
this
a lot.
is what I'm talking about. It's like, why do we look at a candidate and
now
say,
you're interrupting.
Candidate's not going to do what he's saying he's going to do.
Now you're interrupting. I think a lot of them are not going to do what they say they're going to do. And I told you last week that I disagree with that fucking policy, that I think it's absolutely wrong, and I think it's criminal as well, Matthew. And don't try to put me in the Jason Beck box, because I don't fit in there. I'm a little bit taller, you know. But
yeah, plus
and
that's because she wears high heels.
And I didn't get stretched by Smoky Vanilla, so I can't contort like that. You know what I mean? So that's really what the end of that commercial is. They put Jason in the box. But no, I agree with you, Matthew, and I don't agree with everything. I do agree with some of the policies that line up that I voted for, and those are why I voted. But I don't agree with everything. I don't think that any candidate in the history of everdom has been a perfect fucking example of a leader, a perfect example of a person. But, you know, yeah, I don't just say Republican, check the box. I actually do vote on policies. So
it's a little alarming. It is a little alarming when we don't listen and take people at what they say, right? And what you just said is like, I'm not going to choose to acknowledge that what this person said is actually what this person might do. And so for me, stop and frisk is not nearly as scary as some, because for me, with the lack of attention I'm getting, stop and frisk is just a pubic hair away from rub and tug. So as long as they're giving me some physical attention,
also too,
I'm totally happy with it, right? I'm gonna have a big wad of $1 bills and say like, yeah, here we go, pat me down. But I do think it's important that when we listen to politicians, we don't just dismiss the scariest, craziest stuff that comes out of their mouth. We say, wow, they might actually think and believe that, and they might actually effectuate that. And there's this, especially with Trump, there is this way in which I think people dismiss the craziest, fringiest things he says, fringiest and cringiest, and that's, I think, is a dangerous trend.
Well,
I just would like to hope that the system of checks and balances in our country wouldn't allow that to fucking happen, right? Because then we're just pulling back everything that we got when we're like, you can't use smell as a causation anymore. Well, shit, how are we going to fuck with black people today?
Well, we're going to keep this train rolling, because if you don't stop and keep going, you're not going to get frisked, you guys. And on that, we are going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She has
really tried it this morning.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
All right. So we've got to follow up to a couple stories. We reported on it last week, and I wanted to go a little deeper into the dive on what's actually going on in Missouri, because it's a little bit more than oops, they fucked up the social equity program. I reported on our good friend, the pain in the ass, Mr. John Payne, previously. So I just want to give this update. So the Missouri Health Department is raising concerns over eligibility in the state social equity marijuana licensing program amid allegations of exploitation. Recently, regulators denied certification for a significant number of licenses issued in a lottery, revealing that only about 25 out of 57 licensees from June were eligible. The department said licenses that are not certified as eligible are subject to revocation, and licenses now have 30 days to prove their eligibility to avoid losing their license. Any revoked licenses will be available in the next application round. Investigations by the Missouri Independent found that at least 14 of 24 dispensary licenses may be linked to groups previously flagged for using disadvantaged individuals as fronts. This raises questions about the integrity of a program designed to support smaller operators and those from disadvantaged backgrounds. John Payne, a prominent figure in the 2022 legalization campaign, is under scrutiny for his role in the system. Despite being white, he submitted over 300 social equity applications, winning 6 dispensary licenses in June. Concerns have been raised about contracts tied to his company that grant him and his partners 90.1% of profits, contradicting state requirements for majority ownership by eligible applicants. The health department has opened an investigation into 3 microbusiness licenses associated with Payne. Looking ahead, the state plans to issue at least 48 more microbusiness licenses in 2025, following a third round of applications. Meanwhile, there's been no update on State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick's ongoing investigation into the oversight of Missouri's medical and recreational marijuana industries, launched last August. So the key word here is not that he's white, it's that 90.1% of profits. Social equity requires that the applicant make the majority. The social equity requirements say that they have to have essentially unilateral decision making. They maintain a certain amount of control, depending on what tiered license they are. For him to come in and write something that's completely contradictory is disgusting. It definitely is against everything that the program is supposed to stand for, and it's exposing holes in these programs once again, in that these regulators are willing to look into everything we did, what you ate for breakfast this morning and your firstborn child, but they're not regulating the requirements that they've actually set forth when it comes to protecting social equity applicants. So you guys know how I feel about this. I'm sure I'll scream about it more after somebody disagrees with me or says something crazy. Jason's going to say socialist equity, so we'll save him the time, and let's just roll through it.
It is socialist equity.
For breakfast this morning.
No, you didn't. He's at school.
So here's what I think is interesting. So we already know from the way that other entities have gamed the social equity policies and the systems that they are bifurcating between ownership and revenue share. And we've seen that time and time again for years in multiple programs. And so I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it conforms with the spirit of this program. And I wonder why, since this is a more recent program, they didn't put the kibosh on the ability for people to separate ownership versus rev share. And so when you're taking 91%, there is a world where you could say, look, we're going to put millions of dollars into this business until that money is paid back. We want to have a different division of top line revenue. I get that.
Not legal.
But I just don't understand why, if we've been seeing these systems gamed for years, they weren't able to put some teeth in place to be able to prevent this type of obvious attempt at a workaround.
Well, I mean, it's because these people are having straw agreements that are off to the side of whatever social equity share they've submitted to the licensing board, right? So it's about actually looking into where does the money go. I don't know. If you have a nonprofit, you have to provide a fiscal report every year. Why don't we require that of social equity licenses to see where the money's actually going, to see who's getting a division of these profits? These are easy things that are very small reporting requirements that could be done, right? Because I'm pulling those financial reports every month, every quarter when I'm filing our fucking taxes. I have these numbers. This is not difficult. And if 90% of my profits are going to John Payne's ass, then we got a problem, and his name is John Payne.
Mm-hmm.
John Payne.
Hold on.
And John Payne, I will actually.
I thought the problem these agreements to make sure that they actually conform with the spirit of it. There are some checks and balances that could be put in place with this program where they review those agreements between the applicant and the rest of the operators, and they go, no, this doesn't pass the sniff test. Back to the drawing board. And so we're seeing some of that in other places. It would be great if they had it in this place.
Well, they do, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what I was meaning about they're having the straw agreement off to the side, right? Because it happens in California, it happens everywhere. I spend a large portion of my day every day getting people out of these fucking agreements. And I will go ahead and tell you that John Payne's group reached out to a bunch of my applicants because there's not a residency requirement there, right? So they was like, just come sign up and let's grab these licenses. So, and I won't talk about the people who went for it, but I don't work with them anymore. So yes, what they're giving to the state and what they're having audited is meeting regulatory requirements, but their actual division and their actual splits are on a contract that is never to be seen.
Do we know if the Joneses filed any applications in this round? Because we're trying to keep up with them too.
No, but right now we're talking about John Payne, who's done he's done a lot worse than 300 applications he submitted in one round. 300. And he actually got through on 20 of those licenses.
But don't you think these programs could put a cap on the number of applications any one single individual could do? We can lament the person who is manipulating the system, but can't we come up with a system that's
they're not trying to stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
And here's the issue. He's associated, but if his name's not on there, then we don't know that he's associated. I guarantee you there's more than 300 that win it. But everything is verified based on the individual social equity applicant, and they're looking at those names, and they're not doing a deep enough dive to say, hey, this guy's funded all of them, allegedly.
Hey, Jenny Beth, is this the same guy that put out those Craigslist ads?
Yes. Yes.
The same ad, dude.
Craigslist.
This guy and the Jensens, man, they need their own reality show. Yeah. I swear.
This would be so
somebody give him my number. I'd like to tell him a thing or two. So if you know John Payne from Missouri or wherever he's from, get me in fact, I'll get his number. I'll get it from the guy he asked to do the license stuff.
Can someone please bring the pain? on
John Payne.
I'm going to go get the belt, and I'm going to call John Payne.
Oh, man. Man. On that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
See you later.
Oh man, that was weird. Hey, you America. Do I look like Sean Connery? Good morning, America. Saman Razani coming to you live from sunny Los Angeles, California with the one and only highest host, Mr. Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast? You can find it on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. No excuses in 2024. If you haven't checked us out, check it out now. And also, check out what the Prophet's doing in 2024.
All right, and we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure that you hit that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and all of the articles that we cover on today's show will be up on our website probably a little bit later on today. And I do want to send a big shout out to my friends over at Family's Best Jerky, you guys. I want to thank all you guys for all the super chats because I was able to afford some of this weekend for you guys. Hope you guys check them out. I'm going to be munching on this after I finish this. And today it is Dad's Bourbon Beef Jerky that I'm getting into. And I think I'm going to get...
Is it the best jerky for any family? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the best jerky. That is correct. And shout out to my buddy Brandon, his mom Julie, and also to my good buddy Sanan, whose house we had an event at last night, and I got to pick some of this up.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got another commercial?
Yeah, he's pulling the commercial up.
Wasn't that a commercial? Jason just plugged all of his friends.
Commercials then. We can skip the commercials through the rest of the show if you're having a problem. That's no big deal. We are going to you ready, Rico? It's on you, my man.
Let's do it. Well, let's keep it rolling, y'all. And up next we got a tripartisan immortal cannabis wizard coming to the stage with 18 PhDs in tripping balls and skipping from one reality to the other. He's a co-host of the podcast What's Good, and he may or may not have been your God's right-hand man in the past life. Come to the stage. It is none other than Mathieu St. Germain. Yes, it is.
It's Brother Rico. You got a fun story. It's your guide to where marijuana and psychedelic drugs are on the ballot this November. Former President Don the Con, who is registered to vote in Florida, has said he plans to vote in favor of a Florida ballot initiative that would legalize a recreational use of marijuana. As I have previously stated, I believe it is time to end needless arrests and incarcerations of adults for small amounts of cannabis for personal use, he wrote on social media in September. We must also implement smart regulations while providing access for adults to safe, tested product. As a Floridian, I will be voting yes on Amendment 3. And though Vice President Kamala Harris has shifted her stance on the issue throughout her career, she is the first major party presidential nominee to advocate for the federal legalization of marijuana. We've come to a point where we have to understand that we need to legalize it and stop criminalizing this behavior, said on the All the Smoke podcast released on September 30th. Currently, recreational use of cannabis is legal in 24 states. Washington, D.C. and 38 states and D.C. have legalized it for medical purposes. States, Oregon and Colorado, have legalized specific use of psychedelic drugs and natural plant medicines. In November, a handful of states will have their own ballot initiatives that address recreational or medical marijuana use, as well as psychedelics. Here's where they'll be on the ballot: Florida, Massachusetts, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota. Meanwhile, the fate of an Arkansas citizen-led initiative that seeks to and provisions of its medical marijuana program rests with the Arkansas Supreme Court over signature. In Florida, the citizen-led Amendment 3 would amend the state constitution, to legalize marijuana use for non-medical purposes for adults 21 years and older. Individuals would be able to possess up to 3 ounces of marijuana with up to 5 grams in the form of concentrate. It needs to pass by a supermajority vote of 60%. Now in Massachusetts, we have the Natural Psychedelic Substances Act. Citizen-led Question 4 would amend the state statute to allow residents aged 21 and older to possess and consume specific psychedelic substances in their homes or for therapeutic purposes at licensed facilities under supervision. Psychedelics would include psilocybin, psilocin, 2 substances found in mushrooms, as well as dimethyltryptamine, mescaline, and ibogaine, which are found in plants. The measure would also establish a commission to oversee the therapeutic facilitators, centers, regulation, and of course, taxation of these substances. The current law says that psychedelic drugs or natural plant medicines are considered illegal. Several communities have told police not to prioritize investigations. Yes, that's not a majority. Not sure what that means. Moving on to Nebraska. Medical Cannabis Initiative 437 would adopt a state statute to legalize the use of a certain amount of medical marijuana for qualified patients. Initiative 438 would establish a commission to regulate this program. Now for this one, needed to pass is a simple majority, and it must be greater than 35% of the total votes cast in the election. So I guess that's what that other one meant. In North Dakota, there's a legalization initiative, Measure 5. This would amend the state statute to legalize recreational use with possession limits and allow some individuals to grow some at home. Let's hear it for homegrown, you guys. This would just need a majority of more than 50% to pass. On to South Dakota. Measure 29 would be amended to legalize recreational marijuana use for adults 21 years and older with limits on the amount a person can possess. It would also allow people to own personal marijuana plants with restrictions. It would also need just a simple majority of more than 50% of the vote. I'd really like to see that all of these measures are moving forward, and it seems like it might just be up to us in the states to vote for our own freedom of consciousness. I don't know that the federal government is going to do anything but stay 10 to 15 years or more behind on all of this. Really looking forward to what you, my fellow hosts and correspondents, have to say about this. This is from Monday on the High at 9 News. Take it away, everybody.
Look at that little voter guide. Know where to vote. Look at that. Look at you, Matthew, being all political today.
Just happy to see people exercising their right to vote.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. I'm all about that.
Me three. Yeah, me three. I remember when we started reading the news, I want to say was it 3 years ago, maybe almost 4 years ago now. I called it then. Cannabis is going to be leapfrogged by psychedelics.
I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be. You have less emotions tied to it. You don't have the war on drugs, and you don't have a clear path to showing people that you owe us this. So
Right.
I feel like it's gonna leapfrog. It's gonna go forward, and you're gonna see this commercialized cleanly way before you do with cannabis. So.
Well, since we
I
all
kind of agree.
since all three of us actually agree on this, you already know Yarrow's going to come out and not be agreeable. So what do you have to say negatively about this?
Well, since there's 5 of us here and the 4th one was talking when you cut that off.
Oh.
Huh? Right over his head. No, I agree with you, Rico, and I think we've watched this happen, and for some reason we've been so much quicker to get studies out about psychedelics, which is going to behoove them when you're looking at people who really need to see evidentiary reasons and clear studies that show that something is safe and okay, and they might want to use it. And Yarrow's eyes are crossing, so I'm going to hurry up. But I do appreciate everybody voting. I do appreciate, we all disagree and have very interestingly different opinions. The only people's opinions that I never want to hear on politics is someone who's too lazy to actually go vote for them.
That's a great point, Jenny Beth. I could get behind
Finally.
that. Go ahead.
Yarrow coming in here not clear shaven and still with a nick on his face. How'd you pull that one off?
He's
It's called
living
grooming,
that.
Jenny. It happens, right? Some of us do that in the mornings, and so
I do in the morning too.
That's a whole nother show, and I look forward to watching it and tuning in but not participating. The reason why Jason said 4 people and not 5 is because he wasn't counting himself. All right, so you don't have to always be mean.
I hadn't spoken yet, but that's
Leave
okay.
a little room for me to be mean as well.
All right, go Short King.
Yeah.
Short God.
Oh my goodness.
I love you, Yarrow.
Bro,
I
she
love
just
you.
called
can
you.
sit on my
She
lap
just called you
anytime.
king right now, Yarrow.
can sit on my lap anytime, bud.
You should be jumping up and down and clapping right now.
I just wish you could come up with some new material instead of going back to the only vein you've got. But, maybe there's room for improvement towards
I'm hitting the main vein, and I talked about the
Okay, please don't talk about me sitting in your lap with my main vein, all right? It's so not appropriate, okay?
Jesus
That's
Christ.
not this
Oh, boy.
show, okay?
Mhm.
So, I mean, look, I don't know. I think psychedelics offer this clearer path to maybe proving a therapeutic benefit in so much as there aren't 150 plus cannabinoids floating around and us trying to crack the code on the variables and treatment methodologies and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera with cannabis. I like that we have Mathieu St, Germain on the show because we get to continue to allow our Paisley warrior to bring forth new information. I'm not necessarily mad at it. I don't actually have any disagreement on this. I think that it's interesting. I think it's interesting, and I also think that at the end of the day, most voters are not single issue voters, and so this may be a factor in who they vote for, but probably not the only reason they vote. And I hate to say this, it's getting caught in my throat. I agree with Jenny, which is that I agree. If you don't vote, you don't get to complain. And if you don't vote, it doesn't matter how aware you are of the issues. If you're not participating in this imperfect representative democracy, then just go hide under a rock somewhere. So I'd rather people vote in a way that doesn't align with how I see things than not vote at all. And so I'm just 100% thumbs up in agreement with everything everybody said on this today.
Can we see both your thumbs? It's not real till we see it.
I can show you body parts later. We wrap shortly.
Ew.
And then we can text back.
Look at that. You did.
Whoa, like a doorknob. That thing took a turn.
You did your lifelong goal today, Mathieu St. Germain. You brought people from all sides of the aisle to agree on one thing today. You should.
Hey, do
pat
drugs,
yourself on the back.
everybody.
No, man.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like weed, water, and crypto, bringing everybody together.
Exactly. Speaking of all that, Rico, you want to roll right into Mr. Yarrow?
Let's do it, man.
All right.
Representing the Shire, he is the Sebastopol Sage. He is known in his parts of Middle Earth as the dopest dad in the land. And he's a second-generation farmer, and he is the founder of Special Teams Consulting, here to break us off and with a little bit of Monday morning heat for Indigenous Peoples Day. Yarrow Kubrin.
Yarrow, don't kick your legs when I take you off the shelf. I almost dropped you.
Jenny, you can't drop me. We've already dropped your forehead, okay? There's only one thing we can drop per day. But
My
anyway.
forehead is magical. It's where I keep my big brains.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's why we don't see it. Anyway. My name is Yarrow. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to High at 9 News halfway through the month of October. This article was hot off the press on Friday. Days off, so that's why you're getting it today. Back to my state of California. Without further ado, hot off the government website itself, gov.ca.gov. Court shuts down industry attempt to block enforcement of California's hemp regulations. Governor Gavin Newsom today announced that California's emergency regulations to protect children and teens from the adverse effects of dangerous intoxicating hemp products will remain in effect after a court blocked an industry attempt to stop enforcement of the regulations. Today's decision affirmed that the potential harm to Californians, especially children, outweighs the potential that individual hemp businesses will not be able to adapt to the new regulations. The court also dismissed industry arguments that the regulations would make CBD products for medicinal use unavailable, noting that these items would remain available without THC at retail stores and with THC at licensed cannabis dispensaries. The decision upholds California's restrictions, which prohibit selling any industrial hemp food beverage or dietary product intended intended for human consumption if there is a detectable THC or other intoxicating cannabinoid per serving. Our children deserve protection, Attorney General Rob Bonta said. We're witnessing an alarming rise in products that contain synthesized cannabinoids, which can be far more intoxicating than the legal and regulated cannabis options available. Disturbingly, these products often resemble candy, crafted specifically to attract the attention of young people and children. In California, we have established strict prohibitions against intoxicating cannabinoids and hemp products, regardless of whether they are naturally sourced or synthetic. The California Department of Justice remains steadfast in its commitment to safeguarding the interests of legitimate businesses that can operate with integrity in this industry. I take immense pride in our cannabis control section and the tireless dedication they have shown in ensuring the success of this initiative. The emergency regulations respond to increasing health incidents related to intoxicating hemp products, which state regulators have found sold across the state. Children are particularly at risk should they consume these products. Studies have shown that the use of these products can negatively impact cognitive function, memory, decision-making abilities, and developing brains. So what the regulations do, the new regulations for hemp-derived food, beverage, and dietary products ban any detectable amount of THC or other intoxicating cannabinoids per serving, ban sales to people under 21, and limit servings to 5 per package. What the regulations do not do, the regulations do not ban hemp-derived CBD products with no detectable THC or other intoxicating cannabinoids, and they do not impact the sale of any cannabis products. Cannabis products, including products purchased for medicinal and recreational use with CBD and THC, will remain for sale at cannabis dispensaries. So why does this matter? California became the first state to allow medical cannabis use when voters passed the Compassionate Use Act in 1996, and then in 2016, voters legalized the recreational use of cannabis. California's cannabis regulatory framework requires that businesses operate safely, that products are labeled and tested to protect consumers from contaminants, that children are prevented from accessing cannabis products. Absent stronger laws and regulations like those that the state just adopted, hemp manufacturers have been exploiting that law to produce and market hemp products that contain THC without the safeguards in place for similar cannabis products. Intoxicating hemp products have been made available at major and small retailers and marketed for their intoxicating THC properties. These new regulations ban these sales. State regulators, including the Department of Public Health, the Department of Cannabis Control, the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage, and the California Department of Tax-Free Administration, as well as the movement to reinstate Jenny's entire forehead, have been tasked with enforcing these requirements. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News, ready for your clap back, Dill.
First of all, there's an S on the end of it. And second of all, your forehead is bigger than mine, which is funny because you're so much smaller than me.
It's not the size of the forehead, it's how you use the brain inside of it.
Well, if we
Jason,
had
can we
a
get a
brain, we
poll?
wouldn't be doing these hemp regulations because this is
Hey,
absolutely.
Jason, can we get a poll?
Yes, do you want to?
Can we get a poll?
I don't. No. No polls today. Sorry, Rico.
Put a 1 in the chat if Yarrow's forehead is bigger than mine.
Yeah, we can do that. We could if they want to poll, they could put their answer in the chat. We could do it.
You like that with
Rico.
my big brains and
Yeah.
your forehead for that to
There
come
we
out
go.
of.
There we go, Jenny Beth. Tell them what you want to see, Rico. What are they putting a 1 for? What are they putting a 2 for?
1 if Yarrow's forehead is bigger than mine. 2 if mine is bigger than Yarrow's. 3 if we wish.
Bodie, Joe. Joe voted for me. All right, thank you.
Oh boy.
All right, so listen. Anatomy aside, I want to hear what you guys think about this. I mean, there was this idea of creating parity and bringing hemp into the regulated cannabis supply chain, and that didn't go very far. And then all of a sudden, Gavin put this injunction or this ban in place. The industry pushed back a little bit, but this is not a new issue. It didn't just come up yesterday. So I'd like to hear what you guys think.
So first,
I feel like Gavin is like pulling some kind of Kristi Noem bullshit, right? Found out he wasn't going to the White House. Now he's going to piss all over everybody's day, especially the cannabis industry.
oh, that's it.
He's following the footsteps of Ron DeSantis right now, right? So he's trying to be like California's Ron DeSantis, and I think he's trying to pander to the right a little bit with what he's doing and with his prohibitionist ways. But
It's given take my ball and go home.
He's supporting the interests of his friends. He originally helped to amend 64 to support their interests.
Yeah, he was formerly married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is
That's crazy.
He was.
and somehow
And she was a prosecutor in the district attorney's office.
Donald Jr. And Donald Trump was partying with Gavin Newsom before he decided to start running for president. So they are all
Kimberly?
They're all in the same boat together, man. So like, vote for the system or vote for a symptom. Which one do y'all want to do?
I want to know if Kimberly.
Just like the Epstein list, we'll see if that ever comes to light.
Yeah,
totally.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about this is I see these states becoming more restrictive in regards to hemp-derived cannabinoids, and what we don't have, and what I think the cannabis industry has been calling for, is parity, so that the cost of doing business to sell intoxicating cannabinoids is equal. And I've said it time and time again: less regulation on cannabis, a little bit more regulation on hemp, parity in terms of what is expected to create consumer safety, age-restricted products. And the states are having to sort of patchwork their way through this because the Farm Bill hasn't been updated. And so we can blame this current administration for that, right? It's not a partisan statement, because that Farm Bill is older than the roaches in my ashtray. We're talking 2018. There's been plenty of time for them to come up with a slightly or significantly more comprehensive set of rules and regulations, and they haven't done that, and they haven't had a reason why they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I've asked you to clean the ashtray out repeatedly, Yarrow.
And they repeated.
I'm too busy licking your boots, girl.
Oh boy.
I don't think they've given us a good enough reason to do that either. Yarrow, have we given them a good enough reason to go forward and actually do something?
Well, I feel like there is been ample warning that there's going to be some tragic issue that happens with some kid getting a 20 million milligram hemp-derived edible at a gas station and walking in front of a semi-truck, and someone's going to get hurt. And so we're seeing states like New Jersey, California, states are trying to come up with a way to minimize the chance that that happens. But ultimately, the Farm Bill is a federal bill, and the federal government has the ability to make some changes. And it's been 6 years, no changes. I don't understand why they wouldn't have incrementally adjusted it to make more sense and to create regulations that define cannabinoids based on whether they're intoxicating or non-intoxicating.
Because you know why? It's because this bullshit system that we live in, that we pray to as Americans, they want this quote unquote incremental change. Incremental change don't do shit, man. No real change. I'm gonna say some real shit right now, and I hope that I'm allowed to be on YouTube. But yo, like no real changes ever happen in this country without bloodshed. Let's keep it a buck, right?
Oh,
I don't know about all that.
We're trying to monetize this episode, Rico.
I'm just saying, like no real change ever happens in America without bloodshed. Let's keep it a buck.
I mean, Kim, haven't we had? Does this not count as
myself shaving this morning?
Are we not watching?
We don't need a lot of blood.
Are we not watching what happens when the police are slaughtering black and brown people? Does that not count as bloodshed? Like, what a level of bloodshed is it going to take for us to wake the fuck up, vote our own best interests, and band together and figure shit out?
I don't know that answer, but when bullets start flying, I'm gonna get my ass the fuck up out of here, right? Like this shit is not for us, and I don't mean us like as black people. I don't mean us as no voting bloc. I mean us as a country. Right. Period. They don't care. They serve these money masters. That's why I always say follow the damn money. Right? Because like who is in Gavin Newsom's pockets? Who is in Ron DeSantis' pockets? We have the answer. But nobody wants to go after these corporations. We want to just keep on feeding them our dollar bills, right? And be in that same fucking cycle.
And we just want to throw out that's Rico's opinion. We're not.
Gavin Newsom was put into business with a $5 million gift from the J. Paul Getty family. We've been actually undergoing class warfare from the rich towards everybody who identifies as middle class or less or millennia. There's been attempts at class stratification, and our the latest attempt, which is in America and Western democracy, it is basically instituting serfdom and slavery and using fiat currency as this illusory piece of freedom so that everybody shows up as what the elite expect of them. But what we really need is an evolution of intelligence and ideas so we can start looking and doing exactly what you're saying, Rico. Realize that regardless of our ethnicity, our race, or our country of origin, we are together, brothers and sisters, and we need to evolve these ideas for a more fair and equitable earth for all of us.
Yeah, you ever wonder why?
Was put into business by the Gettys. Trump is another member of the super rich. We have the super rich constantly ruling us, giving all of our money to Wall Street, devaluing our currency, causing record inflation. Then everybody wants to divide up and start pointing fingers at who to hate and who to be afraid of, when really neighbors in the same boat as you. They're drowning in credit card debt. They most likely don't have health insurance. They're unable to go on a vacation. And yet the same people at the top pull the strings and have all of us fighting each other.
Yeah, why do we still have an electoral college?
I'm all in favor of the Electoral College. You're not going to bust shots on the Electoral College.
Of course you would be. Why
Jason,
do we still have
we understand what you're in favor of. You don't have to actually ever share. We can just look at like what the hardcore right-wing GOP tribal agenda is and fill that in for you.
Literally. And it's electoral.
I would suggest really is like just do some reading instead of watching YouTube videos, and come off with one original idea that doesn't originate Donald Trump or the GOP. That's what I would like to see.
I have tons of original ideas, Mathieu
As much
St.
as you can talk shit about old Saint Germain for being a psychedelic communist, you can give me credit that I'm coming off with at least an original idea.
I come
or
up with
two.
original stuff all the time, Mathieu St. Germain. You just have to be paying attention, my friend. You can't be all psyched out of this world. You know what I mean?
The key word in that sentence was pay.
I mean, I don't think we want to put Jason on the spot right now, but I think that the
makes one of us, Yarrow.
But wait, Yarrow, he loves the Electoral College.
I do.
It's just uncomfortable for me to watch him squirm, and so I
What
think
are you
that
talking about?
what I think I do want to highlight is what Mathieu said, that like I think at this point in our nation, it's not red versus blue or purple. It's the haves versus the have-nots. It's the ruling class versus the working class. It's the widening gap of no middle class. It's the resourced versus the non-resourced. It's those that aren't worried about how they're going to pay for college for their kids versus those that are worried that their kids won't even be able to get into a college. And so that really defines what's happening here. And St. Germain is right. I mean, Newsom might be blue and Trump might be red, but Newsom was backed by billionaires to get into office. And billionaires tend not to have the same agenda as those that struggle to have a better life for themselves. It's just that simple. And so anytime you're voting for somebody who's in a tax bracket way above where you would ever hope to be, the chances that they're going to think about your interests are low to none.
Yep, they're red and blue, and the rest of us are purple and green, baby. Just think about it.
And
I'm chartreuse.
And Mathieu St. Germain, just for the record, because you did ask me. I'm just going to give you one little thing, but one of the reasons why I'm 100% with the Electoral College is because if we didn't, there is no
Electoral College.
If we did not have
pronouncing it wrong.
Whatever, you guys know what the hell I'm talking about.
I used to add an R and call it ceviche. It's ceviche.
I don't understand why you guys are always picking on the disabled. I really don't understand why you guys always pick on the disabled.
I don't know why you're only disabled when you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm emotionally disabled, bro.
Man.
Okay, so tell us why. No. Well, let's get back to why you love the Electoral College.
Because the reality of it is that if we didn't have the Electoral College, California and New York would control everything in this country.
I'm taking my headphones off. I can't hear this anymore.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Given their oversized contributions culturally and economically, might not be the worst.
It would be hell on earth. We'd have San Francisco and Los Angeles in every city across the country.
No, hold on. When's the last time the Republicans won a popular vote, Jason?
I don't care about popular votes are skewed because you get too many indoctrinated youngsters out there saying all kinds of craziness. But nonetheless, I'm going to go into my last story, you guys, before we wrap up.
I think we should let Mathieu St. Germain introduce you for your last story.
You want to let Mathieu St. Germain?
I want to hear Matthew's intro for you.
No, look, she's putting you on the spot, Mathieu.
Oh, look how red I just turned, you guys.
Yeah,
it's cute.
I bet.
Not as red.
I did that for my brother Jason Beck.
I love the
only man on this panel redder than even St. Germain. That's right, man who represents the right wing in most rabid fashion, except in Northern California, high on mushrooms, everything, dances happy dance around the campfire. It's none other than the Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah.
A small head,
man.
big suit.
All right, you guys. I have a quickie one for you, and Rico, you're gonna love this. I'm glad you're still here today. You're gonna love this because I know how much you love following the money. Because Massachusetts, that's right, they fined marijuana MSOs Ascend and Cureleaf a combined $165,000. You guys, that's right. Massachusetts regulators fined New York-based marijuana multi-state operators Ascend Wellness Holdings and Cureleaf Holdings a combined $165,000 for neglecting consumer safety practices, you guys. The Cannabis Commission Control fined Ascend Wellness $85,000 on Thursday for admitting roughly 900 marijuana products from the state's required track and trace system, the Boston Globe reported. And the allegations, which date as far back as 2021, include failing to seal gaps in doors and ducts, as well as workplace deficiencies that led to at least 3 contaminated cannabis samples. The CCC fined Cureleaf $80,000 on Thursday for systematic failures limiting contamination from pesticides at its Amesbury and Webster cultivation facilities, according to the Globe. And meanwhile, the CCC experts are to conclude its search for a new executive director by the end of October. The State House News Service reported, and Bruce Stibens was appointed acting chair of the regulatory agency back in September. And that appointment followed the firing of the agency's former chair, Shannon O'Brien, who was dismissed because she, in quotes, you guys, committed gross misconduct and was unable to discharge the powers and duties of a CCC commissioner, you guys. Look at that. This interim guy's sending out fines, $165,000 for the bank, for the state to just throw into their general fund. What do you guys think about this?
That was not a general thought, but that's okay. First of all, I don't give a shit about her discharge, but I do think that this is ridiculous. Like $165,000, big whoop. How are they supposed to trap it if it's in metric? Come on, guys. Let's be real.
They discharged it out of metric.
We break down what you said right there. She said she doesn't give a shit about the discharge because they don't give a dick. There's bars behind, there's levels behind that shit. I really like that, Jenny Beth. You need to go get in the booth right now. Get in the booth.
I agree with our den mother on this. I think this is a modest little wrist slap. I don't think this sends a message in terms of diversion, and which, I mean, I don't see these things as clerical errors. It's like the missing portion of the recording in the Nixon White House. Like, come on. You didn't just accidentally lose the tapes, right? So this is a modest wrist slap for these MSOs.
They accidentally threw him down the stairs, set him on fire, and then threw him into the ocean. Come on now. Like, that was clearly an accident.
Right.
It's like when you start falling and just can't stop falling, and so all of a sudden you've fallen pretty far. No, I mean, like $165,000 is fucking nothing for these guys. They are huge. They have plenty of money. They're like sitting there. This was 2 white guys, maybe not, but let's just for my story, who went behind the scenes, shook hands, and said, "Yeah, we'll pay this one." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's get some scotch.
At the end of the day, like, yeah, I mean, it's good they got fined. But, you know, they are big enough to be like, yo, like, whatever. It's $80,000 in fine. That's the cost of doing business. This is capitalism at work right here. Mm-hmm. So unless you want to do levy fines proportionately, this is what it's going to look like, y'all. So good luck playing by the same rules as these other people who don't have to play by the rules.
Can we also acknowledge that they were fined more for somebody taking product out of metric to trap it than they were for loss of human life?
I was just about to go there, Jenny Beth. I'm so glad you did. So glad you did.
Yep.
So right.
You guys care more about your lost tax revenue than you do about someone losing their family members. So that's huge to me.
We got our priorities messed up in this country.
Yep.
Especially in the CC's being.
So on a positive note, try my best to spin this in a positive note. Like,
oh boy,
what can be done? No, seriously, what can be done?
This guy's doing this because he's.
Yeah, how could this have been better?
He's doing this because he's trying to show that this department is under new leadership and that he's trying to strike a different tone. So we can say he didn't go far enough. We can say that they're not holding these entities accountable enough. But after the dumpster fire that was Shannon O'Brien's leadership, he's trying to show that there's a new sheriff in town and that he's trying to do business different. That would be my takeaway.
Can we say that maybe he's trying to be performative so it looks like it's not more of the same when it is, in fact, much more of the same?
I mean, it can be. What would you do differently, Jenny Beth?
What would I do differently? Well,
let's try to end the day on a positive note. And put forward some solutions instead of just talking about how shitty these.
In the words of Dale Schaefer, I would spank the fuck out of these guys. I would hit them with a fine that was worth what they have done. I'd look at, because I mean, listen, if they taken that much product out of the regulated system and sold it, they made way more than $165,000, and it was collective $165,000. So these guys just got hit with like 80 racks a piece. That's not even a good G-Wagon.
Look at that. That's, I mean,
you can pick one. You can pick one up used. You know what I'm saying? CPO. You know what I'm saying? Like get a nice warranty on that motherfucker.
That's that 2011 joint. You know what I mean? Mild up.
Yeah, a good one. You got a better warranty on it. Somebody already ate up the depreciation. Come on now.
Yeah, well, all right, Rico. I mean, like, listen, I would just like to see something actually done. Like, I don't know, strip their frickin' licenses because they've now been proven to be doing black market business while lobbying to keep other people out of the markets that they're operating in legally. Shut down mom and pop operators that are just trying their fucking best to do this the right way. And all they got was a little piss ass fine. Snatch their licenses. That's what I would do. If they want to trap, go trap.
Interesting.
Jason? Would you do anything differently?
Would I do anything differently in this situation? I mean, I probably would have like increased the fines. I think I totally agree with what Jenny Beth said. I think the fact that there have been employees that have lost their life that received smaller fines than this, I think is probably like the first step in the whole problem. Like Massachusetts is just a total clusterfuck, and it just sounds like there's so much corruption out there within their internal government. Every story that we cover over here is, I wonder if it's Atalanto sometimes.
Massachusetts is Atalanto.
Even Atalanto's doing a better job of trying to get their shit together.
That was my point.
Is Atalanto Massachusetts, or is Massachusetts Atalanto?
Massachusetts has better weather.
Massalanto.
Massholes.
Anything you want to end us on a Yarrow there? You want to? What would you suggest they do better in this situation?
So I think that it's really important to allow entities to know what the consequences are for missteps and a lack of compliance. If you do something wrong, here's the tiers of consequences, and you project that to all stakeholders ahead of time. And I think about Cal OSHA, and Cal OSHA, if you have a nail sticking out of a board on a construction site, each nail is a particular dollar amount fine. So if they find a board with 10 nails sticking out of it, it's that fine times 10. So when they talk about the 900 products that didn't make it into the system, I would think that the fine would be based on a per product fine, right? That stings a lot more. And I also don't think that these MSOs outsource their compliance like small mom and pop operators. So I think they probably have more culpability. They can't just say, oh, our consultant made a mistake. Nah, not so much. I wouldn't buy that kind of structure from a larger MSO. So I think that a per violation fine, because if you look at 900 products, and bear with me, y'all, because it's morning and I'm not as fast as I like to think, even with the big forehead.
They'll call you good Maro Yarrow.
That's $88 per product that was not put into the track and trace system. $80,000 divided by 900 products is $88 for each product that wasn't put in the track and trace system. I don't know that that's enough of an incentive. I might actually keep making mistakes if all it does is cost me $88 each time something falls off the back of the delivery truck.
I think somebody needs to do. Go ahead.
Sorry. Here's the issue, Yarrow. The way that you said it is actually how most regulations are structured, right? It's here are the lists of violations, and then here are the tiers of whatever. And for every fucking regulatory body that I've looked through their regulations on, the violation that is included in this story is a revocation.
Good point.
I think we should start a trap and trace system. What about you, Jay?
Well, not only that, but this number they came up with saying we don't know if this is the real number that they're alleging. Yeah, that's what they got.
They said
for.
900 products. They didn't say if that was 900 SKUs or 900 units.
I mean, if that was 900 ounces, I'd pay $88 per ounce to divert if I was an MSO.
Hey, man. Oh,
Well,
good luck, Massachusetts.
I mean, listen, I'm less mad at the operators and more mad at the regulators. You guys want to act like you're doing something, then actually fucking do something. And if it was a mom and pop, I might look the other way a little bit more, just because of my personal values. Take that for what you will. But I think that the fact that they're cowtailing to these giant MSOs repeatedly is a Rico follow the money special on a Monday morning. And I think that we need to look at what's actually going on. And it sounds like that receivership wasn't the worst idea ever. Needs to happen. You guys have lost control. The genie's out of the bottle. Whatever you want to say, Yarrow, whatever the Squire's fanciful words for this are, but like, this is not effective. This is not real. Words. And this is, once again, them very visibly cowtailing to people who are paying them and padding their pockets, because more lobby dollars are coming out of there. What are those lobby dollars? Fancy ass dinners, whatever the fuck they're getting. Like, let's just call it what it is. They're bribing them.
And I would respond to Nick in the chat who suggests that a per SKU fine isn't fair if one thing is a pre-roll and another thing is a pound. But what I would say is, and I'm not a big proponent of the existing track and trace systems, what I would say is any unentered SKU, it's probably easier to come up with a simplified model where it's a per SKU violation instead of trying to extrapolate out what the value of that SKU violation, okay, well, that's more valuable, so it should be a bigger fine. I would say per SKU.
That's like saying, did I shoot you with a 22 or a 45? Yeah, I shot you.
Hey, shout out to Biggie. Anyway, thank you all for joining us for a very special Indigenous Peoples Day episode of High at 9 News, where we were very equitable with our arguments.
And happy Columbus Day, everybody.
Nah, fuck Columbus.
Fucking what?
Fuck that. Yeah, fuck that. You can catch us live weekdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to the super fans showing love, getting their comments posted. Who we have today, Jason?
Oh man, it was his first super chat in here. Give me 1 second. Oh man. Yeah.
Jason lost it.
Mr. Payne?
Yeah. Why is it not? It's not scrolling up to there. Yes, Mr. Payne. It's not going all the way there.
Shout out to the $10.
Yeah, shout out. Yes, we do appreciate.
Big shout out. To super chats coming in today, and if you want your name up there and your message up there as fucked up as it might be, you want us to announce that, go ahead and pay us some more money, because we are contributing.
That was worth
we are contributing to this thing we call American style capitalism, where everything is bad. So keep on moving forward with that. Big shout out to everybody else who tunes in every single day as we comment and give you guys our opinions on the developing cannabis industry. To our vetted correspondent team tuning in from all over, bringing us much needed variety of perspective, your respected opinions to the table, our production team, Cloud Media Partners, all the sponsors keeping the lights on and AV struggles to a minimum. As always, Cannabis Sativa L, the reason why we show up to read these stories every single day. Thank you too, baby girl. It has been Monday, October 14th, 2024. The show's over. You've all been blessed with the top industry headlines. Hope it was enough for you to put in your pipe and smoke at least until tomorrow. And for this one, we're going to pop
Rico.
Yo.
It was Joe Mackey. It was Joe Mackey. Shout out to Joe Mackey with that super chat. He also says I'd pay it again. And Joe Mackey, just so you know, you could do that all the time. We always appreciate
you, Joe Mackey. Big love to Joe Mackey. And in the spirit of putting something in your pipe and smoking it, we're going to give it to the man with the longest pipe on earth, because he stole it from Gandalf. Yarrow Kubrin. He'll leave us with some shit for these good people.
If you guys stick around and watch the whole show, you will finally get to see the totality of Jenny's face, which I will say on record is gorgeous and is my favorite part of watching the show live on YouTube. The banter, you can't make this shit up. This is the true byproduct of chemistry on this team. We will be back 23 hours from now with the next 24-hour news cycle of international, national, and state hemp and cannabis news. Thank you so much for all our viewers, and we will see you tomorrow.
And,
Big thanks to Elliot and
yes.
Catalyst and Anna keeping
Yes.
our lights on and giving us a home.
Yes, thank you so much, Catalyst.
Me for the people. Love y'all.
Much love.